Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. And may I personally welcome you to day 2 of Soccer X. What a wonderful day we had yesterday and a wonderful morning so far, and happy to see all of you here. My name is Ben Grossman, and very happy to be back myself here in Manchester and at Soccer X. And before we do get started with this session, I would just like to personally take a moment, if I would. Yesterday at the opening ceremony, I heard my friend David Dean talk so beautifully about Duncan and his loss, and we've heard wonderfully from people around the world. And I would just like to personally add from across the pond in our region how much Duncan will be missed, what an incredible impact he had around the world and in our region. People know Soccer X so well in the States and in Mexico and Barbados and places we've been like that in our region. And for people constantly flying over here to be part of Soccer X and Soccer X coming there, it's just important everybody knows from our side of the world how much Duncan was just a force of nature and will be missed. So thank you for allowing me to take the time to honor his memory. I appreciate it. And now we're going to talk about the region we just spoke about, CONCACAF. Philippe, I'm so happy you could join us this morning. Thank you,
Ben. It's a pleasure being here. Good morning, everybody.
And before we get started, we'd love to show a little video of what's been going on back home in our region at CONCACAF. If we could roll that, please, Larry. That was beautiful. Seeing the Americans win the Gold Cup, our version of the Euros, absolutely fantastic summer. Philippe, thank you for that. You saw a bunch of the great competitions that we have in our region at CONCACAF. And speaking of CONCACAF, why don't we start there? It's a strange word, a bunch of letters. What does it mean? What is CONCACAF? And what is it about?
Thanks, Ben. I thought you'd like ending with the U.S. winning our Gold Cup. And yes, CONCACAF just rolls off the tongue. So CONCACAF is one of the 6 confederations of FIFA administering football in the North American, Central American, and Caribbean region. We represent 41 member associations in that region, and we run premier competitions like the Gold Cup and the other 3 competitions that you saw in that video, which included a club competition, which is our Champions League, a new competition below that, which is called the CONCACAF League, and then a lot of sub or youth tournaments along with futsal and beach soccer and other denominations of the sport. In terms of our focus, really is thinking about, our mission really is developing the sport and creating much more participation in the sport across the entire region. And for that, we have a lot of development programs. We've had a new administration in place now for a little bit over a year. Victor Montagliani, as our president, has really put a very strong strategy in place of one CONCACAF, really uniting the entire region under one mandate, which is really to elevate the power of our sport across the entire region.
Nice. So you mentioned a lot there, which is great, gives us a lot of things to talk about. You talked about all the different competitions in our region and around the world. You talked about the changes at CONCACAF in the last year. We'll talk about that, and then what some of the initiatives are. So let's start with the competitions, and we'll kind of start with one of the newsier ones, and that is the World Cup bid process for 2026. Right now, if you haven't heard, the bidding is going on. There are two different bids that have been formally filed. One is the CONCACAF region, and the other is Morocco. Just so that everybody understands, what exactly is your and CONCACAF's role in the bid for 2026 from that region?
So CONCACAF is playing a supporting role, helping our three member associations, US, Canada, and Mexico, come together in putting together this bid. It's the first time that three countries come together to potentially host a World Cup. This would be on their World Cup for 48 teams for 2026. And we really believe that it's our time. It's a time for the World Cup to come back to the CONCACAF region. The last time it was played there was in 1994, when it was played in the US. So if you think about 2026, 32 years will have to go by until the World Cup comes back to the CONCACAF region. In the meantime, 3 World Cups will have been played in Europe, 2 in Asia, 1 in Africa, and 1 in South America. So really, it is our time. It's an expanded World Cup, and we think it's really a great opportunity for the region to think about where football will be in 2026 and what we need to do as a region in developing the sport as part of winning that bid.
You mentioned 1994. I was lucky enough and old enough to have worked for the World Cup in 1994, and the U.S. put on a very well-received tournament, which actually launched our professional league, Major League Soccer, 2 years later in 1996. Given that the U.S. seems to have the infrastructure, has proven they've had the interest and the ability to run a World Cup, why does this bid then include Canada and Mexico?
It's a great opportunity for 3 countries to put the best foot forward. Each of them could host a World Cup on their own.
Absolutely.
That's the reality. But I think in them coming together, it really represents what CONCACAF is about, the unifying power of the sport. Together, we think that we can put a better overall bid. We can create a really strong, diversifying fan base across these 3 regions that represent all of CONCACAF. So I think when you put all those elements together and you think about the infrastructure that exists in these 3 countries, it really is a great opportunity to have a fantastic World Cup in 2026.
The plan as of now is to put, I believe it's an 80-match tournament, 60 of them in the States, 10 in Mexico, 10 in Canada. It seems like that's something that would work quite well. That's 3 nations then that would be hosts. Traditionally, the host nation is, of course, granted a spot in the World Cup. Are you hopeful, and will that be the case, that all 3 nations then would be granted spots into the World Cup?
Yeah, I think with the expanded World Cup, CONCACAF will have 6.5 slots. It would be natural for the 3 of them to have an automatic spot into the World Cup. And I think that's pretty natural that it happens that way. When it comes to how the matches will be put across the 3 of them, that will be decided. Right now, it really is about putting the best bid possible and really showcasing what can be done across these 3 countries with this bid, and not only meeting, but really exceeding FIFA's requirements when it comes to the bid process.
Good, and it's a natural. There's so much besides CONCACAF, obviously uniting the entire region, Major League Soccer has 3 franchises in Canada right now, in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Very successful franchises, a huge addition to our league. And Major League Soccer and American soccer work so closely with the Mexican Football Federation. Different competitions, new ones being contemplated as well. Hopefully news on that coming down the road. So it seems really natural to bring it together. A couple other questions about that. Did the Morocco bid surprise you? There was kind of thoughts that the CONCACAF bid may go unrivaled.
I think when you think about the magnitude of the World Cup and you think about what it can represent for our country, it's not surprising that there will be other participants going into the bid. Independent of that, I think these 3 countries are really working very well together in putting a very strong bid and ensuring that when this is reviewed, that the question is asked, why not Mexico, US, and Canada coming together for hosting this World Cup?
There was an American gentleman up here on stage yesterday by the name of Charlie Stilitano, who has worked in football for a long time. He said that the U.S. is basically, the CONCACAF bid is basically a shoo-in to get it unless our president does something ridiculous. I assume he was not talking about Victor Montagliani, the president of CONCACAF, or Sunil Gulati, the president of U.S. Soccer. He was talking about Donald Trump. Has the new regime in America affected that at all? Has it affected how you guys go about your business?
It hasn't. The reality is the administration has been very supportive about this bid. This is a World Cup that will take place 9 years from now. And because of the unifying power of a sport, we think that any administration will really get behind what it can do for the country. So we don't see that as an issue. And right now, it's really just about getting the bid forward.
Okay. Last question is about qualifying. It's a timely one. Right now, the CONCACAF region is in the last few matches of qualifying. Mexico and Costa Rica look like they're in good shape to grab 2 of the 3 automatic bids. The U.S., Honduras, and Panama are fighting for the 3rd automatic bid. The 4th team goes into a playoff with a team from Asia. It's getting a little dodgy for my Americans. We'll see what happens. Big match tonight at 10:30. So that being the case, right now it's an incredible competition. 6 teams go into the final pool for qualifying. 3.5 of those make it through. With the new format, though, the expanded World Cup format to 48 teams, you said there are 6 guaranteed bids. Does that eliminate, are you worried that eliminates the excitement around qualifying, something that's being asked in other regions as well?
I don't think it eliminates the excitement. I think by definition, the format will need to change.
Okay.
I think one of the things that we look at in our region is we have a long 4-year cycle of World Cup qualifying, but most of our member associations are eliminated early on, right? So you mentioned we have the hexagonal, the 6 teams competing for 3.5 spots. That means that the rest, 29 countries, are left sitting idle to their entire process. So it's actually interesting to be in this window right now, being here in Europe and seeing that there's 54 nations from UEFA participating for a potential World Cup slot, whereas we only have 6. So we're looking at that as a potential way to increase development, having more national team competition. And I think when you think about an expanded World Cup with more slots, we just need to think about a format that adapts to that and creates a very relevant competition.
So with the U.S. struggling to get in this year, is there any chance we can expand the format for this one? No? Okay. Didn't know how powerful you were if we could pull that off. We may need all the help we can get.
Good luck tonight.
Yeah, we're going to need it. So wanted to talk about the competitions, the other competitions that CONCACAF puts on. We saw the Gold Cup final, our version of the Euros, if you will, except it happens every 2 years, not every 4 years. And then most recently, I guess it was 2 years ago in 2016 it would have been, we had what was called Copa America Centenario, which was a wonderful tournament held in the U.S. that put together CONMEBOL, the South American Confederation, with CONCACAF and brought some of the great world powers, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, to the U.S. for a combined tournament. So I want to talk a little bit about the CONCACAF schedule on its 4-year cycle, what that looks like now and what it could look like down the road. So the Gold Cup to begin with, can you talk a little bit about that and what the plans are for the CONCACAF Championship?
Absolutely. So the Gold Cup is our premier national team competition. We just finished in late July, and we had a fantastic turnout. all around, including attendance, over close to 500,000 people attending the games. Fantastic final in Santa Clara between the U.S. and Jamaica. Great audiences and viewership across Fox Sports and Univision in the U.S. and across the region with other broadcast partners. We had a record sponsorship participation. We had 11 partners coming on board and really activating heavily around the games and around our competition. So it is our premier competition. It's also really the engine of development for our region. That's where CONCACAF earns most of its revenue to invest in the rest of development. The other competitions are really focused on youth development, focused on how do we think about the right development platforms from a technical perspective. So Gold Cup is the engine of growth for us. We're looking at a potential expansion of Gold Cup. This year we had 12 teams participating. We're looking to potentially increase it to 16 teams. And it's biannual because it is a great, fantastic tournament for the region and great experience. And through it, each competition gives you half a spot for potential Confederations Cup. So if it's a different winner between each of the 2 different years, then they would play a playoff in order to determine who goes to the Confederations. Looking forward, the tournament will continue. As I mentioned, we're looking at potentially expanding to allow more teams from our region to participate. That is always a very strong development opportunity for the nations that get to come in. We saw great experiences from Curaçao and French Guiana, who were the 2 teams that hadn't participated before. And when they have an opportunity to participate in Gold Cup, it really helps the development programs at the local level. And then you mentioned Copa America. Copa America Centenario was the 100-year celebration of Copa America, which is the CONMEBOL national team competition. It was held in the U.S. 10 nations from the CONMEBOL territory, 6 from our confederation, participating in what turned out to be a fantastic football celebration in the U.S. A great success across the board for everybody. And really established a very strong relationship with CONMEBOL to think about other ways we can collaborate, potentially replicate Copa America in the future. So we're looking at a lot of different opportunities in terms of growing our competitions.
So I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Will there be another Copa America Centenario then? Do you envision that being a part of the regular 4-year calendar?
We have an active dialogue with CONMEBOL about exploring the opportunity to create a combined Copa America, continuing with what we started in 2016. We'd love to see it set in the calendar, but it's still early stages in terms of the conversations and how it would slot in. Right now, our focus is a Gold Cup in 2019 and 2021. So we need to figure out how a future Copa America would look like within that calendar.
Okay, and you mentioned the Gold Cup produces the CONCACAF region's entrant into the Confederations Cup. Mexico went and represented CONCACAF this past time in Russia. Do you think there's going to be a Confederations Cup leading into Qatar? There's been talk that there may not be.
I think I'll let FIFA answer that.
Okay.
But I think the question is, should a Confederations Cup continue? I think we were having a conversation earlier about what it does do in terms of the ramp up to the World Cup in preparation for not only the teams, but also for all the partners that are going to work around the World Cup from a broadcasting and sponsorship perspective. So it serves a very strong purpose in that sense. But the question is out there, should the Confederations Cup continue into the future?
Okay, and last quick question. There's been a change to the friendlies around the world. UEFA Nations League has kind of changed perhaps and has domino effects to our region. What does that mean for friendlies and the calendar for national teams in CONCACAF?
So looking carefully at what UEFA has implemented with their Nations League and their Euro qualifiers, they have really maximized the calendar from in terms of FIFA available dates. And it's great because it offers all their members a lot of competition at the national team level. What that has done also is taken friendlies away. I think there's a view that friendlies weren't necessarily helping so much from a development perspective. If we look at our confederation, many of our members are not even playing friendlies. They don't have the resources because friendlies do not generate the revenue necessary to be competing. So as we look at that model, we say, we need to figure out how we can increase competition at the national team level, taking advantage of the FIFA available dates, and thinking about creating relevant programs for our members to sell. What I mean by that is, a lot of these nations, once they're out of World Cup qualifying, they're sitting idle for 2 to 3 years without necessarily the ability to go to the market and sell a product and sell the dream of potentially getting to the World Cup, even as far-fetched as that may be. So for us, it's how do we look at what UEFA has done, and could we implement something similar in our confederation, increasing competition for all, creating more relevant competition, and giving our members the opportunity to have a relevant product.
I want to shift and talk about some of the issues that we're facing, and CONCACAF is championing so well in our region that touch things on and off the pitch. One of them, of course, is inclusion, using football as a means for inclusion and stamping out racism on and off the pitch. It's an important topic everywhere, but it flares up in our region as well. There's a certain chant that happens in our region on goal kicks when a goalkeeper kicks the ball. Certain fans have started to shout a word that has potentially a homophobic connotation, depending on who you ask. And it's something that's become a good way for football to kind of rally around. And it's something we've dealt with in Major League Soccer. And Larry, if we could roll that quick YouTube clip, I'd like to show everybody something that we've done in Minnesota at our club to talk to our fans about this.
And of course that.
Something we've done in Minnesota was sent around Major League Soccer. It's a sport that's really rallied around that cause. And at CONCACAF, you guys have taken it to the next level in a fantastic way. We've seen the implementation of a new program called State of Goal. Maybe we'll look at the video first, and then you can talk a little bit about that. Larry, could we roll that wonderful video, please? So congratulations on a fantastic initiative, first of all, as this chant kind of started to gain prominence and gain media attention around our region. Many people led by CONCACAF have stepped up to really strongly push back against it. Tell me about what you've done and how important that is to CONCACAF.
So indeed, the chant is something that is unacceptable, it's offensive, and we represent such a diverse region, and our sport unifies it. So we wanted to be very proactive with our campaign and really start elevating the issues around stadium safety, the issues around making people uncomfortable or feeling unsafe in our stadiums. So we created this campaign because our sport has a very unique quality. The acceleration that happens when people live a goal, it's almost hard to compare it in any other sport. When a goal happens, you embrace whoever's next to you, you're high-fiving, you may not know who they are, but that's independent of race, independent of color, independent of sexual orientation. So our message was, let's elevate ourselves beyond that and live in a state of goal on an ongoing basis. And with that really is thinking about, then we can't eradicate this chant or behavior we don't want to see in our stadiums on ourselves. We really need to engage with stakeholders that can help us in that process and want to embrace what we're doing. So as part of our campaign during Gold Cup, we worked with our stadium partners, we worked with our broadcast partners in sending this message, in trying to communicate to our entire fan base that this chant is offensive, because people that are maybe singing this may not even realize that it's offensive. And I think it's not something that we cured at Gold Cup, and it's not something that's gonna be eradicated. But I think as more and more people come on and start understanding the offensiveness of this chant, and can help then think about the stadium atmosphere that we all want to create, the stadium where you want to bring your family and your kids to. That's what we're working for.
Fantastic. Congratulations and thank you for that. It's really been,
Thank you, man.
it's really been wonderful. So you've been on the job since, you said a little over a year, if memory serves. You've come in as part of the new CONCACAF regime. CONCACAF went through some much publicized issues that we don't need to revisit here, but do tell us, what is the new CONCACAF like? What are your initiatives? How is it putting all of that in the past and trying to move forward?
So over the past 2 years, CONCACAF has gone through a very strong reform process. It started in mid-2015. We had external counsel and consultants really helping us through the reform process and putting in place new statutes that create more transparency, more accountability, and better corporate governance across the entire structure of CONCACAF. Victor Montagliani, our president, was elected in May of 2016, and beyond all the reform process that he's helped put in place, it's also putting in place an administration organization that is focused on football first, that is focused on the development of the sport, and is really focused on service. And he ran the campaign that leadership is about service and not about power, and maybe that wasn't the case that CONCACAF was being led before. And through that vision, putting in place our one CONCACAF strategy of how we can develop the sport and how we continue with the reform process to ensure that this confederation is indeed focused on football and is taking the best opportunity possible to take this amazing sport to the next level across the entire region. It
was alluded to on stage yesterday that there was a feeling that the U.S. government, which has gotten into football, may not be done looking into it. Are you confident that that's in the past and now we're ready to just move forward?
Absolutely. CONCACAF was declared a victim in that process by the Department of Justice. And we work very closely with the Department of Justice in terms of making sure that we are indeed continuing with the reform process, that we're putting in place the right structures internally from a control procedures perspective. We have a chief legal and compliance officer that is essentially running all our processes and ensuring that from a compliance perspective, we're continuing to evolve, that we're on par with FIFA and also have FIFA's vote of confidence in the direction we're headed. So we feel very comfortable in the direction we're going. We're very proud of the progress we've made to date, and we'll continue down that path.
So we've talked about the competitions, helping the smaller nations, if you will, grow their football on and off the pitch. What other initiatives, what other things, what other plans do you and the new CONCACAF have going forward that you really want to be judged on and be proud of?
So first, we want to make sure that in supporting our 3 members, we obtain the World Cup coming back to CONCACAF. We're also looking at implementing more development programs and growing our overall business so we can invest more in development. And also implementing changes to our competition structure to ensure that we're targeting youth at the right level and creating the right youth development programs overall. And we recently started our new Champions League format, which is improving the club competition level within CONCACAF. It's not only increasing the Champions League competition from 24 to 31 teams, but really staging it at the right levels, and even beyond the two level of competitions, focusing on how we can increase club competition across the Caribbean.
And in closing, I understand there's some work being done around the CONCACAF brand. What do you want the CONCACAF brand to mean going forward?
I think what we want to represent is that we are a very diverse region, that we're unified, that we're focusing on football first, and that we're focusing on really garnering the power of our sport to develop it and create more balanced competition across the system. Fantastic.
Well, Philippe, you and Victor have been such a welcome breath of fresh air, brought such a fantastic new frontier for CONCACAF. It's been a pleasure dealing with you, and so many good things to look forward to. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you being here, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.